You ready, Stephanie? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 18th, 2026 meeting of the West Richland City Council. I will call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And before we get started, I'm going to ask our city clerk, Ms. Stephanie Haug, to read the hybrid meeting ground rules and then call roll for city council.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's meeting will be held in person with a virtual meeting component. If you are participating virtually, please make sure the name shown at the bottom of your video view is the name you would like the mayor to use. You can change this by right-clicking on your video view and selecting Rename. Audience members present in the council chambers will be called upon first during public comment periods. Those participating remotely should virtually raise your hand if you wish to speak. To virtually raise your hand, click on Participants and then click on Raise Hand. If you are participating by phone only, press *9 to raise your hand. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. And just a note that this is the last meeting that we will be accepting virtual comments. And more information on the new process will be published on the city's website and shared on social media, which will go into effect for our meeting on September 1st. All right, roll call. Fred Brink.
Here.
Richard Bloom.
Here.
David Cole.
Here.
David Fetto.
Here.
Kate Moran.
Present.
Dan Ritchie.
Here.
John Smart.
Here.
Ben Stoker.
Here. All right. Thank you, City Clerk Haug. And now I will ask Councilmember Cole to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilmember Cole. Council, you have an agenda before you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Council. And presentations, we have one presentation this morning. I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Ms. Erin Gwynn, to present the financial report for the first quarter of 2026. Ms. Gwynn?
All right. Thank you, Mayor Brink. Good evening, council, citizens. This evening, I'm presenting the 2026 first quarter financial report. The flow will be similar to the reports I've given in the past, starting with an overview of the economic update, followed by specific financial information regarding the general fund, followed by the other funds. For the first overview of the economy slide, we'll start with the unemployment, which was increased to 5.2% in Benton County. Another economic indicator is the consumer price index, which nationally had a 12-month percentage increase of 3.3% when comparing March of 25 to March of 26. This is slightly up from 2.7 in December. Seattle Metro is a little bit higher even at 3.9%. Which was up from 3.1. The trend is hovering around 3% range, which is a more normal inflation rate compared to recent years. Locally, we look at city's building activity. Single-family permits issued in the first quarter were up 63% for the same time period last year, with 31 new single-family homes, and multifamily were also up with 12. In terms of revenue generated, the city received more than 2.5 times the amount of building permit revenue that it did first quarter last year. This is another view of the new single-family home permits. The bar graph shows the years in comparison, and the green line showing the addition of assessed valuation. For first quarter, the city's single-family home permits are higher than the past 3 years. This graph also demonstrates the volatility of the building industry. The next several slides look at specific details regarding the general fund. This slide shows where the money comes from in terms of budget. You can see for general fund, revenue is generated from taxes at 68%. The primary sources are sales tax, property tax, and utility tax. Here's a view of the general fund revenue collected. The city collected 16% more revenue in 26 compared to 2025. Sales tax and building permit revenue were both saw significant increases at 13.7% and 269%. These increases help offset the decrease in charges for services. So when reviewing trends, it's important to look at how we're doing compared to what was budgeted. In addition to the year-to-year changes, this slide compares the budget to what was collected through first quarter of 26. The general fund collected approximately 64.3% of budgeted revenues. We're aiming for about 62.5% at this point in the budget. So we're on track to meet our projections. These next two slides will take a look at sales tax revenue. As shown in the previous slide, sales tax increased 13.7% compared to the prior year. Here's another view with the different business sectors. Construction sector increased 27% and represents just under a third, 31% of sales tax collected. Retail is another large sector, increased by 4%, and it represents 35% of sales tax from the city. Another major revenue source in the general fund is utility taxes. Overall, utility tax revenue decreased 3% compared to first quarter of 2025. A second look at the utility tax. So water, sewer, storm, and garbage taxes all saw increases, while your electric and gas, telephone, and cable were all decreases, which we've seen in the past with the electrical. It tends to, especially the coming out of the winter, tends to depend on how cold it is. Another major general fund revenue source is property tax, which increased 1% compared to the same time period, but the majority of these taxes are collected in the second and fourth quarters. So where does your money go? Most expenses in the general fund are for public safety at 46% of our budget. This is pretty close to the 50% mark, but slightly under, and a lot of that has to do with the big transfer out at 8%, which we're still transferring money out for the Well 2 and Well 3 project. Another look by department on where your money goes. Total general fund expenditures were at 56% for the biennial budget. As a general guide, again, we're looking for something below the 62.5%. So again, on track. The city has special revenue funds for streets, park impact, criminal justice, and library. This graph displays the major revenue source for each fund. Every special revenue source saw an increase on first quarter. You'll see the park impact saw the most significant increase. This is primarily due to issuing the building permit to the Copperview Apartments, and it was their park impact fee that they paid for that. This is a picture of the special revenue fund expenditures. The two significant differences in the first quarter are in the Criminal Justice Fund 105 and the Library Fund. Both saw increases in expenditures. The Criminal Justice Fund is mostly due to the increase in the transfer out to cover police personnel costs associated with PST funds. And the library increase is primarily due to the contract costs associated with Mid-Columbia Library. So next we'll look at our capital project funds. This slide outlines the funds and their purposes. So Fund 301, this fund holds the State Route 224 project as well as real estate excise tax for REIT 1. Fund 302 is REIT 2 funds, primarily for pavement preservation. And Fund 355 is the Transportation Improvement Program. where most of that is transportation impact fees. For revenues for project funds, we've seen activity pick up in Fund 301. This is primarily due to the State Route 224 project and the revenue coming in from the state to reimburse the project costs. The other two funds remain fairly flat in the first quarter. The primary source of Funds 301 and 302 come from real estate excise tax. There was a 33% increase through first quarter 26 compared to 25. The bottom portion of the graph in the slightly darker blue reflects what the received through first quarter, and the lighter blue on top, or teal, for the rest of the 2026 bar reflects what we have budgeted for the year. Revenues for Fund 355 are traffic impact fees. The city received more than budgeted amount for the year in the first quarter. The primary source of these funds were collected again from the Copperview Apartments. This graph shows expenditures for capital project funds through first quarter. Spending again has picked up in Fund 301, which is the State Route 224 Red Mountain project. And these last few slides take a closer look at our utility funds. For water collections, increased 2%. We had approximately 6,052 water utility accounts billed at the end of March. Sewer collections increased 6%, primarily due to new residents this past year and some rate increases. Here's an image of our irrigation. Irrigation decreased 4%. This is a really small utility and pretty volatile, and the timing of payments on this one, I think we'll see it pick up in quarter two. This graph displays stormwater collections up 8% compared to first quarter of 25. Again, due to increase in rates and increase in number of residences. And the last utility revenue is solid waste, up 5%, also primarily due to rate increases. And this final slide is a view of the utility fund expenditures. Most funds were fairly flat, with the exception of the water sewer fund, which had some larger projects, including well 2 and 3.
Thank you, Ms. Gwynn. Council, do you have any questions for our finance director? Councilmember Smart.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said, Aaron, 6,052 water connections. What was it prior to this year, roughly?
I think December was around 5. We were at the 5,900 mark, maybe 5,960 or so.
Oh, when we build these apartment complexes, is that a water connection for each unit, or is it for each, or for the whole? That's a great question for Eric, too.
No, I don't think we count for the water connections. No, not per unit. We don't count those ones.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then we count them on the water, not when the building permit is issued, but it would be when the water meter is dropped.
Right, okay, appreciate that, thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Actually, this isn't for Eric. Aaron, you said that there was a traffic impact fees mainly from the apartment. Roscoe, what are we going to spend those on? What improvements? There have been a lot of concerns about the apartments and what their impact's going to be on Belmont.
It goes into the 355 fund, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, but you can look at the projects that are funded in there.
Okay.
My guess, I don't remember, but there's a number of projects that are 355, and I'd say it's spread out through multiple
All right.
projects.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Councilmember Moran.
Thank you. I have to get that out faster. So I'm just wondering, as a general, I know that we ask in the past, or I've asked in the past, if we could get copies of these to our email, but especially with me noticing is for mine that I'm running out of space more and more. Is there any way just to put this on the website so that so that we wouldn't have to have it in each of our emails so that it's that file times 7 or 8? Would we be able to just put that and save some space on our servers?
I'll ask Miss
Just as once?
Stephanie.
All right.
Thank you. That would be fantastic if we could do that.
No other questions? All right. Thank you, Director Gwynn. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes payment of the bills, approving minutes from the regular meeting of August 4th, 2026, motion to authorize West Richland Chief of Police to apply for the COPS Community Policing Development Micro Grant, motion to authorize West Richland Chief of Police to submit the Criminal Justice Training Commission ESHB 2015 Public Safety Program Grant application, and then ordinance to amend the 2025-2026 biennial budget. At this time, I'll hear any public comment on these particular items only, please. If there's anyone that would like to speak to an item on the consent agenda, please come to the podium and kindly state your name and city of residence for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one here in the chamber, I will turn to our online participants. If there's anyone attending online that would like to make a comment pertaining to the consent agenda items, please raise your virtual hand, or you may press *9 if you're calling by telephone. The city clerk will recognize you, and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I see no one online, so seeing no comment, council, may I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, here we have the first period for public comment. And this is for items not on tonight's agenda. If you wish to make comments, please come to the podium, kindly state your name and city of residence, and I please ask that you restrict your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Chelsea Blair. I'm a resident of Richland, Washington. But I am here to say thank you to all of you, to Mayor Brink and to City Council, to the staff of West Richland. I am the board president of the Mid-Columbia Children's Museum. I just want to take a minute to say thank you for your enthusiasm for the project of bringing a STEAM-centered, hands-on children's museum to the community and specifically to West Richland. We're incredibly excited about this partnership, for the enthusiasm that you showed about the growing the future of West Richland and the entire Tri-Cities community. The decision to pursue this public-private partnership reflects that shared belief in investing in our children and investing in the future of our community. We're so very grateful that your amazing city staff and all of you are supportive of that mission, and the mission that it grows the community in an economic way. It grows that workforce development. It grows our families, the quality of life in our community. We're excited to be your neighbor. We're excited to welcome the rest of the community and the Mid-Columbia and visitors into West Richland to be part of the Mid-Columbia Children's Museum and to see all the amazing things that West Richland has to offer. And we're just excited to be here. It's been a 3-year journey for us to bring this mission to fruition, and having an address and a location and a partner in this project through West Richland really is just a testament to the excitement of the community. So thank you. It will take all of us, and this is the first big step to show that this really is a community project. And we are so excited to be your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Is there anyone else who would like to make comment present here in chambers? Please.
Hello. I would also like to second that. I'm really excited. Oh, I'm Anna from West Richland.
Thank you.
And I'm very excited about the idea of a children's museum nearby, so that is awesome. And I'm here today because I wanted to hear your thoughts eventually on what your thoughts are on considering a moratorium. I listened in on the last meeting and I heard your responses to data centers, and I'm grateful for your openness and about the issue. I hear you that you do care about what gets put in West Richland, and I know that you don't want to put anything here that negatively affects our environment or our health. I heard Councilmember Ritchie state that Washington has stringent regulations, and while that sounds promising, it doesn't ensure that the regulations will protect our unique area. We need time to research and put policies in place that uniquely apply to our area. I also heard the comment that if an application gets put in, we will have a lot of opportunities to have our voices heard in regards to data centers. While we are grateful for that opportunity, we do not want to wait for an application to have our voices heard on this. We want to put policies in before an application. We want the developers to work within our guidelines rather than trying to convince us that their existing guidelines are sufficient. We need a moratorium. I heard similar comments from Councilmember Smart. I heard you say that there is a possibility that more modern data centers are bringing their own power and then some. Quoted, so there is a possibility that having a data center locally may actually enhance our power supply. I don't know, we won't know unless we see a proposal. I want to focus on the idea that we are waiting for a proposal to learn more about what's being put in. We need to get ahead of this. We need to put policies in place that give us a peace of mind so we know that we are protected from the start. A moratorium is a step that is necessary in every town with a data center, I believe. This move will show us citizens, that our concerns are a priority to you. It will show us that we are more important than the timetables of large corporations and that you're representing the constituents of this city. Personally, I don't think there is enough information to know for a fact that we won't be negatively impacted by a hyperscale data center here. However, regardless if we are allowing one here or not, we need a moratorium to give us time to research more. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present here tonight that would care to make comment?
Good evening. My name is Josh Lozano. For the record, I live here in West Richland. I also work in West Richland up the road at Benton REA, the electric cooperative that provides power to the city of West Richland. I'm here today to also address the topic of data centers in our service territory, West Richland in particular. And really the first thing that I want to say is that I appreciate the council and your willingness to listen to the community on this topic. I certainly appreciate the transparency. And I also want to say that I believe that there are many concerns within our community. And so those concerns should be listened to, and they are deserving of careful and transparent review. I'm no expert on the topic of all things data centers, but, I do have a bit of knowledge on the energy side of things. I do have the privilege, as I said, of working for Benton REA as the Director of Energy Policy. And so I want to say that Benton REA is certainly working to ensure that there are safeguards in place for members to protect existing members. In fact, we have a general policy in place that essentially states that data centers will bear all the costs associated with their growth and development here in our communities. And those costs include many things. They include the power supply, but in addition to the power supply, that would include wheeling that power into our communities. And that's going to also cover transmission and distribution services, any system upgrades that are needed, including engineering, operations, maintenance, and other project-related expenses and financial risk. Existing members will not be responsible for subsidizing data centers or any large load for that matter. We believe that our members should be protected, and we want to ensure that takes place, and we're working towards that effort through policy. And so existing members will not be left responsible in the event that the infrastructure or power commitments are not fully, come to fruition. And so I do want to talk about rates as well. There's a recent study that I want to quote, and I have that study here. It's an E3 study. I can leave that with the clerk, or I can email that as well. But essentially, properly structured data center loads can actually generate revenue that meet and exceed the utilities cost of service. And so this study points out, it looks at a handful of local data centers. It points out that they can generate surplus value beyond the cost of service. So this surplus can be used to offset shared system cost and create downward pressures. And so I believe that's my time.
Mr.
And so,
Lozano, yeah.
I will
I
wrap
have
it
to,
up.
if I could, just to
Yep.
be fair to everyone, I
Yeah,
just have to ask you
absolutely.
to stop, but there's a second comment period if you
Yes.
wish to finish.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Is there anyone else present that'd like to make comment? I'll move to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to make comment, please raise your virtual hand. You may also press *9. City Clerk will then unmute you and you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. I see no one virtually who wishes to make comment. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not see anyone, no.
All right, then we'll close this public comment period. As I mentioned, we do have a second one later on in the meeting. So we'll move on to ordinance resolutions, motions, and public hearings. The first item is ordinance 18-26, admissions tax. City Clerk Stephanie Haug will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As discussed during the council retreat back in April, council has been looking at opportunities to diversify general fund revenues and identify revenue sources that can help support city services while minimizing the impact on residents. At that retreat, council discussed the possibility of reinstating an admissions tax and directed staff to bring regulations forward for consideration. West Richland actually has some history with an admissions tax. Shortly after incorporation, the town, at that time, council adopted an admissions tax in 1955. That tax remained in place until 1959, when it was repealed, and the city has not imposed an admissions tax since that time. Washington law authorizes cities to levy an admissions tax, and the ordinance before you tonight would create a new chapter 3.88 of the West Richland Municipal Code and establish a 5% admissions tax on qualifying admission charges to places of amusement and entertainment within the city. For perspective, a 5% tax would add 25 cents to a $5 admission, $1 to a $20 admission, and $2.50 to a $50 admission. The ordinance also includes a number of exemptions, including qualifying activities sponsored by schools, government agencies, and bona fide charitable and nonprofit organizations. It establishes the process for collection and remittance of the tax, along with business licensing, record keeping, enforcement, penalties, and an administrative appeal process. The finance director would be responsible for administering the program. Revenue collected through the admissions tax would be deposited into the city's general fund and could be used to support general municipal services. At this time, staff has not estimated a specific annual revenue amount because that would depend on the number and size of qualifying events held within the city. Staff recommends approval of Ordinance 1826, creating Chapter 3.88 of the West Richland Municipal Code to provide for the levy and collection of an admissions tax. And one note, the copy of the ordinance that was included in packets, I noticed that in Section 2, it indicates that it will go into effect 5 days after publication. But in fact, the intent is that it is effective January 1st, 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haug. We will now hear in-person comments on this particular topic and then virtual comments. If anyone present tonight would like to step to the podium and make a comment, please do so and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on this particular ordinance, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one virtually. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, Council, it's your turn. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve ordinance 18-26, creating chapter 3.88 of the West Richland Municipal Code to provide for the levy and collection of an admission tax.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Council, any discussion on this topic? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor of passing ordinance 1826, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Council. We'll move on to our next item, adopting the economic development element of the comprehensive plan. Planner Colin Cortez will provide the staff report. Mr. Cortez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of council. For those in the audience, my name is Colin Cortez, and I present to you on agenda item 8, starting with the economic development element. As you probably remember, the Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update Project is ongoing. Specifically, it's an update of the Comprehensive Plan that dates from 2017. And tonight, we will be discussing in total 4 different elements of the plan. Element being a term used for the various chapters, various topics within the plan. The purpose specifically for each element is to review new and revised goals and policies, and secondly, to obtain a council majority agreement through passage of the draft resolutions that are included with the elements in your agenda packet. For context, later this year, there will be a public hearing with a draft ordinance for adopting the whole of the updated comprehensive plan. That's scheduled for December 15th in order to meet the set deadline of end of the year to have a new comprehensive plan and to be in keeping with the terms of the grant from the state funding the project. About the economic development element in particular, the element contains almost verbatim the same goals, policies, and texts as something called the Economic Development Plan, which City Council had last revised back in October 2013. So for this reason, given that there was a clear policy direction from the council in past times, staff simply revised the goals and policies in the economic development element to add references to this development plan. Those references didn't exist previously, and also updated the demographic, employment, and financial statistics in the element. Leading up to this point, the Planning Commission met July 23rd and recommended that the City Council adopt the economic development goals and policies that you find in your packet. The Council Community Development Subcommittee met July 21st and recommended do pass for the goals and policies, and as specified in the staff report. And then lastly, both the subcommittee and the commission recommend that this evening the council adopt, or I should say accept more precisely, the economic development goals and policies.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. I'll now hear public comment on this particular topic. If there's anyone here present that would like to make comment on this item, please come to the podium, state your name and residence for the record. Seeing no one, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to make comment, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 on the telephone. City Clerk will unmute you, and I kindly ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one online. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, council, may I have a motion, please?
I move to pass resolution number 47-26, accepting the economic development element goals and policies for the 2026 update of the comprehensive plan.
Second.
All right, have motion and a second. Any comments, questions from council? Seeing none, council, we have a motion. Oh, we do? I'm sorry, Ms. Moran, go ahead.
Thank you. Just going back to the fact that this is based off of the economic development plan that was last revised in October 2013. We've gone over this before, right? In a couple of workshops previously, a lot.
We have, and that is a stale document. I think that's what you're getting at, is a 2013 document, right? It is very stale. We didn't have funding. The state didn't provide funding for us to go out and update that document. So until we have the proper funding to go do so, it's just continued to be stale, and will be so until we've got funds to go and update that economic development plan. Hopefully someday in the near future we can do that. But in the meantime, we just updated, as Colin mentioned, the statistical data, making sure that the document was correct and accurate and up to date.
And it meets all of the current state requirements for what we need to have in our comp plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I need to hear.
Councilmember Smart?
Yeah, so thank you. So Eric, on this plan there are a lot of words that say encourage. So it's asking the city to encourage business climate, encourage business growth, achieve vibrant commercial. I just want to make sure that it's clear that this is not a statement of action, but a statement of goals and sort of spirit of our operation. And that if there's specific action that would be taken on one of these goals, that it's going to cost us money, frankly, that it would be brought to council as a proposal, and that we would get to see that before it just gets done behind the scenes. That's correct?
That is the common practice, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to get that on record. Appreciate it. Yes, I can be a stickler.
Thank you, Councilmember Smart. Seeing no other comments, council, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you again, council. Next item on the work list for tonight is adopting the Parks and Recreation element of the comprehensive plan. Once again, I'll ask Planner Colin Cortez to present the staff report.
About the second element, a little bit of background. So the city adopted the Parks and Recreation Master Plan 2023-2028 back in May of 2023. So because this is a fresher document that clearly outlined policies regarding parks, staff updated the much older parks element accordingly, pretty much to reflect the information about parks in the parks plan to be in the parks element. The Planning Commission met May 14th and recommended that City Council adopt the revised element that was in your packet, and specifically to adopt the goals and policies found in the parks element.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cortez. We'll now hear public comment on this particular item. Once again, does anyone present who would like to make public comment on this item, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the name and residence, city of residence for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Josh Lozano again, resident of the city of West Richland. And I just want to say that I reviewed the plan, and I grew up in a small community, and I think we had one park, City of Granger, well, two parks. We had the Dinosaur Park, and then we had another park where we held the Cherry Festival, which they no longer do, unfortunately. And so moving to the Tri-Cities and moving to West Richland in particular, I just found it really just welcoming to see so many parks in the various neighborhoods, and have a 3-year-old son, and we spend time. We used to live up on Collins Ridge. We used to spend a lot of time at Flat Top Park. We now live right off of South Highlands, and so we visit both of the parks on South Highland, go to the bombing range complex, and it's really good to see that the city is investing time and effort and funds into amenities like parks that families can enjoy. So I just encourage you to continue to look at investing in those parks and in green spaces and places for families to continue to enjoy our local community. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano. Is there anyone else present who would like to make comment on this item? All right, seeing none, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to make comment on this particular item, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 on the telephone, and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one online. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right. Council, may I have a motion?
I move to pass resolution number 48-26, accepting the parks element goals and policies for the 2026 update of the comprehensive plan.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any council comments, questions? Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to echo the comments that Mr. Lozano made. This is one of the things that makes West Richland a great place to live. And I've lived here for going on 40 years, and this is one of the reasons. And when you walk down to the park with your grandson in tow, your 5-year-old grandson in tow, and he can't wait to get there, and then take a bus ride, hey, it just doesn't get any better than that. So bottom line being that it's imperative that this is one of the things that we take care of in ensuring the quality of life in the city of West Richland. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. Councilmember Moran?
You. I would also like to echo this, and I have been recently going to a lot of parks because I just started playing an app game that involves a lot of walking around. It's not the one you're probably thinking of. It's the one that one's based off of. But needless to say, I have become very appreciative of all of the trees that we have in all of our parks because I am very pasty white, and the sun hurts me if I walk around too long without trees. So thank you.
Councilmember Smart?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate parks. I think that was one of the things that drove me to be on the city council back in 2015, actually, was to protect our parks. I'm now in a position to protect our budget as well. And so again, similar to the question I had last time, or just to bring it out front, on page 171 on the last paragraph of our packet, this is the red corrected version of the text. Last paragraph indicates that West Richland should consider expanding city services and addressing emerging community needs for a formalized recreation program as future resources allow. Creating a standalone parks and recreation department will require dedicated and ongoing funding for staffing and program costs. That's all very true, and but I don't suspect this will happen anytime soon. I understand why it's in there, but you know, I will vote in favor of this resolution. But I have been a stickler on having the local government fund recreation programs. I have no problem with recreation facilities. And I also question at this time whether or not a separate department is necessary versus I'm not sure that taking care of the parks for a town of 18,000 people or even 20 rises to that level of a department head. So I'm just a little leery about that, and I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes, and I know this isn't doing either, but it's something I wanted to point out because I think as citizens in a small town, unless we do run into a pot of gold somewhere, there are so many other things that need to be funded besides having a city fund a baseball coach or a softball coach when that can easily be done privately and with the support of local businesses. So that's just a comment. Hope I'm not throwing wet rags on the parade here, but I will vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Smart. As staff is preparing the 27-28 budget, I can assure you there will be no coaches in the city budget.
Excellent.
All right. So no other comments. Council, we have a motion and a second for resolution 4826. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Next thing to tackle is adopting the capital facilities element of the comprehensive plan. Once again, I'm going to ask Planner Colin Cortez to present the staff report.
Thank you. And I can say, even though we live in a city, it takes a village. And by that, I mean, for this element in particular, it's not just the city of West Richland, but a whole number of other governments and service providers and agencies were involved in updating this because, as you can imagine, the very boring sounding phrase capital facilities involves a lot of stuff that we take for granted that makes public life civilized and possible. More specifically, public schools, for instance, coordination with public libraries, fire stations, police stations, emergency medical services, and other city buildings. And with consultant help, and particularly the help of the Public Works Director, we comb through the various types of services described in the element, the information and demographic information as well, and thoroughly updated that to present to you this evening as part of your packet. And I'd add also that the Planning Commission had held a meeting July 23rd and recommended the City Council adopt the element goals and policies in your packet.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Cortez. Is there anyone present here in chambers who would like to comment on this particular item? If so, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. Is there anyone attending virtually who would like to comment on this particular item? If so, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 on your telephone so the city clerk may recognize and unmute you. I see no one online. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right, seeing no one. Council, may I have a motion on this particular topic?
I move to pass Resolution 4926, adopting the capital facilities element goals and policies for the 2026 update to the comprehensive plan.
Is there a second? Second. Oh, several seconds.
Point of information, just to be clear, is it acceptable to say approve rather than accept for this?
That I cannot answer specifically, city clerk.
So the motion is intended to approve the resolution, which the action of the resolution is to accept that portion of the plan.
Right, it's just that what was said was move to pass the resolution approving the capital facilities element.
Oh, in terms of
Adopting,
what?
rather, I'm sorry, adopting the capital facilities element. So it's okay to say adopting for that. Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure.
I didn't notice what
Goes
was said.
plain.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Councilmember Moran. So a motion and a second. Council, any discussion on this topic? All right. Councilmember Smart.
I'm forced to stick with my critique here on page 191. It has a goal 5, policy M, which is provide adequate space for community interaction, fellowship, and recreation. Consider the feasibility of providing a community center, and then that's just the only point that I have there. I'm hopeful and I'm assured that we won't actually put money into considering the feasibility of a community center until that's brought before council as a topic of consideration. Is that correct?
That is correct, and this is not a new goal or policy. It's a redundancy from the last one, just rolling it over. So yes, as stated previously, John, that is the standard procedure. If there is something that's in here that would require funding that council's directed to move forward with, it would come forward to council for approval to fund that project.
And that happens before we invest staff time in considering, or any significant staff time in considering such a thing, right?
Absolutely. Wasting staff time is not on our agenda.
Very good.
We don't have enough of that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that comment. That's all I had.
All right. Seeing no other comments, council, we have a resolution, we have a motion to pass resolution 4926. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. All right, last bit of business is sitting before us now, and that is to adopt the climate element of the comprehensive plan. I will once again ask Mr. Cortez to present the staff report.
I'll take a little longer to describe this one because it's new and interesting to say the least. So the climate element is newly required by state government. Specifically, the Washington State Department of Commerce indicates that climate elements throughout the state must address a minimum of 6 topics that are codified in statute. Leading up to this, a major objective was to adapt and implement policies created by a regional consortium. So namely, throughout the Tri-Cities, a number of governments got together in concert to come up with a whole bunch of potential policies that would conform with state law. And that led to a spreadsheet from which City of West Richland staff chose and winnowed down to a certain number of policies that went through a number of local reviews to get to this point. A little bit more about that. The Climate Commitment Act of 2021 was passed by the legislature, and it was Benton County, cities of Kennewick, Pasco, Richland, and this city, with the assistance of the Benton Franklin Council of Governments, that came up with a spreadsheet of potential policies. That regional consortium handled technical analyses about whether it would meet statute, handled a degree of public engagement, and came up with a very handy spreadsheet. That spreadsheet found its way to the Community Development Subcommittee meeting through city staff, which gave its opinion on which goals were more amenable for consideration. That happened on May 26th, and Councilor Sparn in particular was instrumental in recommending specific goals and policies, which were indicated in the staff report. The Planning Commission then met June 11th and made its own recommendation for specific goals and policies for that spreadsheet. Following that, the Community Development Subcommittee met again on July 21st. And after considering what the commission had recommended, came up with a new recommended set of policies that reconcile the recommendations and recommended do pass for the goals and policies that are in your packet tonight. Overall, the policies relate to risks such as extreme heat, flooding, greenhouse gas emissions, reduction thereof, water conservation and wildfire. And most importantly, they do comply with these six statutory requirements. And I'll stress that, as the staff report indicates, policy number 4 is the only one that meets one of the statutory requirements specific to greenhouse gas emissions reduction. So it does have to be adopted. Other than that, that's climate in a nutshell.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Cortez. I'll now open this topic up for public discussion. Is there anyone here that would like to make comment? Seeing no one present in the room, I'll turn to our virtual attendees. Does anyone attending virtually who'd like to make comment, please raise your virtual hand or press *9. Kindly state your name and city of residence for the record. I see no one online. Do you see anyone, Stephanie?
I do not see anyone, no.
All right. So with no public comment, council, may I have a motion?
I move to pass resolution number 50-26, accepting the climate element goals and policies for the 2026 update of the comprehensive plan.
Second.
All right, council, questions, comments? They've not yet been addressed in the staff report. Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. So now my understanding, what I heard a moment ago, is that the state sent us a list. We took and amended that list, consolidated that list. Was it then sent back to the state for review? My question wants to make sure that we hit all the high points that they require.
So you'll notice in the element there towards the end where you have all the goals, in one of the columns, it lists each of the 6 requirements that we're supposed to hit. And so, as Colin mentioned, the very last one hits all 3 within a certain section that's required. And then the other 3 are a mixture of the other 3 requirements that we're supposed to have updated. So yes, we do. We haven't sent it to the state yet. That doesn't happen until towards the end. So we'll be sending that into them for their blessing, and yes, you meet all of the criteria. So should they disagree with any of this, we'll be bringing back some modifications at that point in time. But we believe from our review that we meet all of those requirements. I have had multiple conversations with Department of Commerce just to make sure I understood that very principle, because the direction given to staff is that we didn't want to go overboard here. We wanted to keep this very focused. So we kept it very focused.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilmember Moran.
Can't even get my name out. I would just like to give a big thank you to staff, because with this being a new one, I'm sure this one required the most amount of work. So thank you for that. And I am especially very happy to see the part that talks about the tree canopy, because again, this skin is not doing well in the sun. And I would really like to be a little bit more active outdoors when it's not freezing outside. So thank you for this to all of the staff.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Well, I like to see the mulching practices in the policy. As I've said, we need to have amelioration of the soils here. And unfortunately, Richland's compost is not the best in the world, but I did get two truckloads delivered to my property before I put in my grass. But it did help. And I still think we need to focus that on the new development that they, let's not plant grass on sand because it's kind of tough. There is a reference to a tree planting program. Do we have a tree planting program ongoing? No? Okay, thank you.
All right. Second question. Go ahead, Councilmember Murray.
Actually, just more of a statement. One of those ways to not have to worry about abating your soil is if you have a non-monoculture and have a lot of the native plants out instead, which actually is less expensive and doesn't require you to mow it all the time. And it can stay green with just a little bit of water. I'm just saying, you don't have to amend your soil if you want the native plants, and they're pretty.
Thank you. With no other comments, I will ask council for a vote on resolution number 50-26. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. That gets us through that part of the agenda. We have no unfinished or new business, so we will turn to our second public comment period. If there's anyone present here that would like to step up to the podium and make comment, please do so at this time. Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. I think you're the only one, Josh.
I'm gonna monopolize the time.
If you would just restate your name and city.
Josh Lozano, City of West Richland. Speaking on behalf of Benton REA, my employer, I just want to wrap up the remarks on the potential for rate benefits. The E3 study that I cited further found that large load investments can also support much needed grid expansion and modernization, improve system capacity and reliability, local infrastructure investments as well, and the development of new power supply resources, including advanced nuclear, geothermal, and long-duration energy storage. This topic, data centers, it presents legitimate questions that deserve careful and transparent review. From an electric utility perspective, Benton REA does have policies in place to manage the financial risks and operational risks. And with the right safeguards in place, as we have, a well-structured project can certainly protect our existing membership while also contributing to grid investments and long-term rate stability. Benton REA's approach is simple: protect existing members, preserve reliability, and require large loads to pay for themselves. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano. Is there anyone else present that would like to make any additional comment? All right, seeing no one, I will turn to our virtual attendees. If there's anyone attending virtually who would like to make public comment, please raise your virtual hand or press *9. Our city clerk will unmute you. Kindly ask that you state your name and city of residence for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I see no one attending online who wishes to make comment. Do you, Stephanie?
I do not.
All right. We'll now turn to staff and council reports. I'm going to look over to my right. Staff members, anyone care to make comment? I will start with Public Works Director Slade.
Thank you, Mayor Brink. Just 2 quick items. Tomorrow, I'll join Councilmember Smart. We've got a legislative transportation tour. So this is with Good Roads. We'll be meeting in Pasco and taking our legislators, local, and we also have Representative Fye, who's the House Chair of the Transportation Commission, will be there touring. West Richland doesn't have a project, and that's a good problem to have because SR 224 Red Mountain's fully funded, and so is our Keene Road widening project. So those came off. So we'll still participate in it, but we don't have a project on the list. So that's tomorrow evening, and then followed by a dinner meeting. The other one is I'll make it public. The email went out to council so they know that the Keene Road Van Giesen roundabout will be open not this Friday, but next Friday, August 28th. So the contractor continues to make great progress. We delayed it a few days. I kind of jumped the gun getting that date out there, but there's some extra concrete that needs to be poured that we don't want to have to close down the roundabout at a later date. So we're going to give them a couple extra days, open it up on Friday. We're still ahead before school opens. So, but there's a lot of people who'll be glad that they can not have to do that detour down Paradise and be able to go through it. But project's moving forward, still on schedule and under budget. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Slade. Community Development Director Mendenhall.
Sorry for the late name. I didn't want to feel left out with everyone else speaking tonight. But no, I do have a couple things. One, thank you, council, for your support as we go through these comprehensive plan update elements. I know they're a lot to chew on, but at least you're getting them in elephant bite sizes and not having to eat and choke the whole elephant down in one meeting. So if you do have questions, again, feel free to reach out as we're going through the process. Happy to have those conversations. I appreciate John. He's been very involved in a lot of this with his input on climate change particularly, and we appreciate his insights there and help so that we don't get hung up, right? I mean, that's a big point, is we don't want to get hung up here in the meeting. So your questions, your involvement early on is important, and we appreciate, and I appreciate you being involved there. Also want to thank the Mid-Columbia Children's Museum being here tonight too. They made their press release last week. It was very exciting. We are very excited that they are here as the Economic Development Department as well as the Community Development. It's very important to have these kind of cornerstone pieces in our community. They will drive economic development. Having them be here, similar to the racetrack being here, does drive some economic development. They're going to be driving economic development for us as well by bringing children to our community, which then maybe we get a Chuck E. Cheese. Who knows, right? I'm not saying that they've talked to me because they haven't, but maybe we will. And maybe we will get those types of businesses that come in because of that museum being here. And my estimation is, and I'm sure Chelsea can testify to this, but I believe that we're going to be pulling from within 200 miles kids to come to this facility and enjoy and participate in West Richland. And so that's a big deal for us, and we're excited to have that. Plus we beat Richland, so in the proposal. So that always makes us feel good. And then lastly, with regards to the data centers, I just encourage anyone that has questions about what the data centers, about them, how that might impact the city. Happy to talk with them, happy to sit down and have a face-to-face and go over any questions. I know council, all of you, and I have had conversations about it. At some point, in answering your questions, I invite the community to do that as well. Because, for instance, for noise, we already have a noise ordinance that would make sure that they aren't going to be impacting the neighbors. There's a 200-foot setback additionally that council approved that would require them to set back 200 feet from the property line to help with that noise mitigation. So there's things out there that are being said, there's information that's being shared that I just would love to have a conversation with people about and have that face-to-face to go over those questions that they have to maybe help them understand that while there are, and that, as Josh mentioned, there are a lot of justification for concerns, but I believe that our code is very robust. The state code is very robust, but if there's any policies that they believe we should be looking at, that we should have that conversation. And I'd love to hear what those policies are that they're considering we need to look at. So I'll leave it at that.
Finance Director Gwynn.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, the state auditors have started their audit for, I guess it's really 3 audits. So financial accountability, as well as a single audit for all the federal funds we've spent. So you guys will probably, council will see an email from one of our auditors inviting you to an entrance conference, I don't know, sometime in the near future.
Police Chief Fry.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tomorrow I will be speaking at the Chamber of Commerce on some crime statistics and different things that are going on in the community and some of our events that we are planning for. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Detective Magana, who just cleared a federal case that was quite a large drug case. And he did a great job preparing for that and working with federal prosecutors on that to help keep drugs out of our community. And it's been a long ongoing one, but it's always important to have a finalization on those. And he did a great job doing that.
Right. I'll now turn to council. All right, Councilmember Stoker, I will start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple things. Sorry to see that Mr. Cortez left, so if you could pass on to him that I certainly appreciated the extra effort he goes through this evening, presenting to us 4 elements of the agenda. Pretty ostentatious, pretty large task to take on. So definitely pass that on to him. I also wanted to mention too that, as was mentioned earlier, tonight's meeting is our last remote citizen comment. So I'd hoped we'd get some comments coming in from the remote people, but I guess if you have nothing to say, you have nothing to say. Also to Mr. Smart, I've coached a lot of kids sports. I did Grid Kids, Little League, Tri-City Girls Fast Pitch Softball, Richland Parks and Rec basketball. Never got paid. So I don't think you'll have to worry about coaches requiring funds. So my last piece I want to bring up is, so recently we had quite a discussion on fireworks. And one of the things that got me curious is when we saw the flyer that listed our sister cities, including ourselves, different dates for when sales are allowed. And Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick allow fireworks sales the period before New Year's Eve, and we don't. I went and looked up their code. Richland and Kennewick are word for word the same. Kennewick just swapped out the word City of Richland for City of Kennewick. Well, it basically says the sale and discharging of fireworks within the City of Kennewick or Richland shall be in accordance with Washington State Fireworks Law, Chapter 70.77 RCW and Chapter 212-17 WAC, unless otherwise provided in this section, which there is nothing about sales throughout the rest of their section. Pasco, from what I can see, basically copied and pasted what is in RCW 70.77.395. And so the one thing that the RCW states that ours does not allow for is that from 12 o'clock noon to 11 p.m. on each day from the 27th of December through the 31st of December of each year, fireworks sales are allowed. Our code says fireworks may not be sold or may be sold in incorporated areas of the city of West Richland during the period commencing at 12 noon on the 28th day of June of each year and ending at 12 noon on the 6th day of July each year. Now, we may be out of compliance here because the state RCW actually says ends on the 5th day of July, not the 6th. So we may have to rewrite this whole sentence, but with this, I would like to make a motion that either in the September 1st meeting or the September 15th meeting, this be put on the agenda, and we will either copy and paste what's in the RCW or add the portion that says, and from 12 noon to 11 p.m. on each day from September, or from the 27th of December through the 31st of December of each year.
Yeah,
I would second that.
all right. Clarify, Councilmember Stoker, you would like staff to develop change to the fireworks ordinance allowing sales in accordance with RCW for the New Year's Eve period, December 27th through January.
December 31st.
December 31st, okay.
Correct.
All right, I do have a second on that. So like all other procedure, I'll open this up for discussion among council members. Are there any council members who wish to speak on this particular topic? So, Councilmember Fetto.
If we're gonna talk about this again. Let's make the switch from finance director to community development director for our permitting as well, like we talked about, but never passed at the last ordinance.
I would accept that.
Are there other comments on this particular motion and second? Councilmember Moran.
Yes, I don't recall since I've been on council in 2020 ever hearing anybody ask for this, so I'm just not sure why this is being brought up. It just seems like we're adding more problems than what we already have to me. So it just, without people asking, I haven't seen any emails asking for it. I'm just concerned that this is something that's just, we want to have fireworks more often, more and more often. And while I will say I would rather have fireworks in December than in July, I would rather not have it in both times because it is very expensive to do so when you have things that you have to prepare for your animals and everything else. It's just going to cost me more money and I don't like it. So that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, so I actually like this idea, whether it's been asked by the community or not. And the reason is because, first of all, if I've said before that I've had friends that moved from states where there is no regulation on fireworks, restrictions on particular days, right? Now they can shoot fireworks off 365 days a year, birthday parties, corporate events, whatever. And what I've learned from discussing that terrain of psychology is that when the 4th of July comes around, it's not a huge deal. I mean, they celebrate the 4th of July for sure, but it's not everybody's expending a year's worth of fireworks energy in one night. And so that's reason number one that I like the idea of making it easier for people to get some of this out of their system in January when it's like foggy and wet and damp, and it's good luck trying to start a fire around here in the grasslands. But the other reason is that people store fireworks. Okay, like they buy all these fireworks in the summertime before the 4th of July, and then they stash the rest of them. Where do they put them? I mean, very few places. I bet they don't put them in fireproof safes. They're going to stash them on some shelf in their garage where kids can get to them throughout the year. Heat can get to them. They can become degraded. Maybe they get forgotten for a couple of years. And that probably, I don't know. Fortunately, we haven't had any issues with that. I don't know of any structure fires that have started from stored fireworks, but if it has, I mean, this would help maybe eliminate some of that. So, and the other thing is, it just seems to do no harm. I mean, it might give a chance for some of the nonprofits to make an extra buck in the middle of the year or the beginning of the year. It would be interesting to see if it actually increases the number of people that launch fireworks on the first of the year. But I guess they already do, and I think it's probably the safest time of year to do it. So anyway, I would support this motion. Thank you.
Councilmember Cole, wish to speak on this topic? Yep.
I really didn't. I had my
you don't
up here,
have
but
to if you
I
don't
would
want.
just spare a whole lot of repeating what's already been said. I think this is a good idea and I support it.
Councilmember Ritchie?
And for myself, I've said it before, say it again, consistency. We're inconsistent. The cities have painted this problem. We've created this problem because we're all inconsistent. Nobody does it the same way. And so what you do is you drive the problem from one place to the other. All right. And so I would argue to be consistent with our sister cities. And this may not be where we stop. Maybe there's other ways that we can be consistent with fireworks and help to alleviate some of that problem.
Thank you. Yes, second round. Councilmember Stoker, you're up first.
Well, I just wanted to say that first, I think reiterate what I think Mr. Smart already said was that fireworks are already being discharged on New Year's Eve. So I don't know how this is necessarily going to change that as far as how it affects other people. But secondly, I have been approached by one entity that sells the fireworks. And, they don't like the fact that the other cities do allow it. And so they tend to, I don't know if competition is the right word because they're over there and we're over here, but, they're wondering why we don't allow fireworks sales at this time that the other cities do. Personally, no knock to our sister cities, but I like to be a little more free than they are if possible.
Thank you. I will say it is interesting that the one organization that has spoken with you is the one that would profit off of it. But for me, when it comes to this, yes, we do allow it. But if we're going to allow the selling of fireworks a couple days before we actually allow them to be discharged, I can automatically see people saying, oh, well, they're being sold. Well, so we should be able to light them off at this time, not remembering or realizing or caring that it's only on the one day. So yeah. And while I will say that, yes, I agree that storing them during the summer, I believe there was somebody I think it was their garage burnt down in West Richland. It was right off a bombing range, if I remember correctly, because of stored fireworks. So I will say, yeah, that is a problem. But I would think that if we're going to sell fireworks before the New Year's, I would much rather prefer us have the sale of fireworks, especially because so few people do, have it just be that day of, just because I can automatically see people lighting them off early. Thank you.
Don't see any other cards up for discussion on the topic, so I'll just reiterate the motion just to make sure I have it clear. But a motion has been presented and seconded for staff to develop a change to the fireworks ordinance to allow for sales in accordance with the RCW for the period of December 27, December 31st. And I'll turn this with a change also for permitting with the
From
finance to
community development.
community development. Well, did that have a second?
I'll second that.
Right. Now, yes, let's do it formally. Let's vote on, unless there's a comment on this amendment. All right, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
The other question comes down to is the question of whether we allow to the 6th or the 5th, consistent with state regs.
We can't be broader than state regs.
Correct.
We are broader. That's
We are now and so we're out of complaint. Yes, it's, I copied it right out of our municipal code. It says the 6th.
Yeah. I will direct staff to look at that and confirm that. And if in fact we are out of compliance, as you stated, we'll make the appropriate amendments as well for council to consider. All right. So we have. No. Yes, we're going to vote on the amendment to change the permitting from finance director to community development. So that is the first vote. A yes vote is to make that change. A no vote is against that change. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, just to clarify, it's not to take action to do the change, but to
No,
bring
but
back for
Mm-hmm.
action. Correct.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then finally, on the main motion to bring it to staff to prepare appropriate ordinance changes with regard to fireworks sales during the authorized New Year's Eve period. All right, a yes vote is in support of that. A no vote is against that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So I will ask staff to make the appropriate, draft the appropriate ordinances for staff's approval. for council's review and approval.
That includes looking at the dates for
Yes.
the July.
Yes. If there's an error, we will correct that administratively too.
Very good.
All right. Any other comments, Councilmember Stoker?
That is all. Thank you. Oh, well, there will be some more of these forthcoming. I have some others in mind that I'd like us to address.
You know what? I welcome that opportunity.
So since we've opened this can of worms, we're going to move that way.
All right. Any other general comments from Councilmember Moran?
Thank you. I will just caution, if we remember, our staff is rather overwhelmed with things that we've tasked them to do, that I'm pretty sure our parking lot is fairly large right now of all of the things that staff has been tasked to do. So my concern is if we bring about these, that we might be using up staff time that could be used for bigger necessary things in order to comply with state laws. So I would just caution against that. But for my comments, I will say, I would like to, I'm very appreciative that you're here, Mr. Lozano. And something that I've been thinking about for a while that I'm hoping maybe can happen after speaking with someone who has been on the Native Plant Society. I believe he was the founder of it, and also is very familiar with the conservation districts, that there is a hope that perhaps Benton REA, the conservation districts, and the Native Plant Society could work together, especially with the amount of water usage that's going on, to work towards helping to find a solution for our members so that they wouldn't have to spend as much money on watering their yards. I know that when I was in the Navy and stationed in San Diego, that SDG&E had a program specifically for assisting folks in going from a monoculture of just having grass that required a lot of water to allowing for more native plants that didn't require a lot of watering. I'm not certain if incentives are something that could be in play, but that would just be something interesting, and maybe even just I can't remember the name of the word, but where you have a garden that shows off how it looks near Benton REA, especially if you want to beautify the site. So that's something that I would love to talk more to you about. Second, I would again like to thank the police department and animal control for putting out the microchip reader. I think that is fantastic. I personally had an experience over the weekend where a friend of mine thought for sure that this cat they found was abandoned in the apartment complex they were at, because it was scratching at this door that had been abandoned, or the apartment behind it had been abandoned. So I was like, well, I can take it to verify the chip reader and foster it if not. And I had it chip read, and we found the owner. It was just in another part of the apartment complex. So also a big reminder, if you find an animal, make sure you check the microchip before you just decide you're going to adopt it or believe that it was abandoned or put out on purpose. But thank you again to the police department for that. I would also like to applaud the police department for looking at the grants. I think it's really important that we look at these grants that are out there, because they can be beneficial to us, especially since they don't have to be repaid. Those are big for us. Let's see, I did not bring my special eyes, so I'm trying to read my handwriting here. 3, 4. Oh, talking about when I'm using this app for this game, I would just really like to say that the parks are looking really good. I am appreciating how green they are. The trees have been fantastic. I have been basically running from shade to shade under each tree so that I can play this game, and it's nice that I don't have to run far. So that is very appreciated. Let's see. So when it comes to meetings that I've been to, I was just last week at the Ben Franklin Transit Board. Big discussion item that we had was July's fare free. We have asked the staff to go back and from that, figure out, okay, how much would it actually cost if it would be a positive or a negative thing to the transit to continue with fare free, because it does cost a lot of money in order to try and collect money. But it did seem like it was a big hit. Ridership was up significantly. And I think we might even try it sometime in the fall when schools are in session so that we can have those numbers as well to make a good decision for that. Let's see, next Friday, I'm going to go to the Ben Franklin Council of Governments meeting. It is hybrid, as always. It is going to be on Friday next week, starting at 10. And then finally, I will say that in advance, I'd like to let you know that the Tuesday after Labor Day, I will not be in attendance. I will probably be in Seattle Airport if I'm not on a flight. So I will not be here. So let's please not make any big decisions while I'm gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Moran. Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. On the subject of fireworks, I want to let everybody know that there are summaries that were put together by the West Richland Police Department as well as our Benton County Fire District Chief. And so those are available. If you want to know what the exact statistics were with regards to fires across the 4th of July, they're available, and I'd be happy to help you get hooked up with those. One of the things I want to be sure and point out is that the chief in his report talks about how when there were complaints that the officers went out and educated the citizens. And then after that, that complaint went away. That was not a problem anymore. Too often, I think that's what the problem is it's not malicious, but rather just uninformed individuals. Data centers. I'm not convinced yet that a moratorium is needed. We don't have a project. When we get a project, then we can look at what it is we're talking about. Right now, you're just speculating. And so, and one of the things that I keep seeing is that we keep talking about what's going on down at Boardman and in Oregon. And I'll tell you right now, that's not applicable to the state of Washington. What happened down there, that may be a concern that you might want to ask the question, but the state of Washington is going to look into that with our EPA, our SEPA checklist and our environmental impact statement checklist. And I encourage you to go and look and review those. I also encourage you to go visit a data center, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go visit a data center. I want to find out more about it. I want to see what they've got going. I want to hear what the local community has to say about it, because they're the ones that are living the dream right now and can come back and give us real-time data with regards to what's really going on. So I'm encouraging everybody to prep your questions and get ready for it. And last, and I'll shut up, is kudos to our Economic Director, Mendenhall. That Children's Museum in West Richland, I am excited. I've got a 5-year-old that's like 10 minutes away from that. And I just, when's it open? Do you know when it's going to open? Okay, so let me know and we'll be there when the doors open. Thank you.
Councilmember Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of things live. Let me find my notes. Week before last, I attended a 2-day training session put on by the Association of Washington Cities that helped, was geared towards council members in the budgeting process. So my hope is that even though it's only 2 days and I don't know everything there is to know about budgeting, I know a little bit more, and maybe I can kind of earn my keep with Aaron and the rest of the Finance Committee members. Second thing, I want to say I regret that I wasn't here last meeting because I was in training, and I'm not plowing old ground. I just want to say that I hope that there's a better solution. I know that council took a vote on turning off the citizens' ability to speak from the remote capabilities, and I'm committed to finding some other. Hopefully, we can come up with a better solution than just shutting it off. I want to also say thank you. We are super stoked that you're here.
There's a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old who've taken the word no from my vocabulary. We'll be taking them too. And I want to thank Mr. Lozano. I think that the information that we can get like that as it pertains to power needs for data centers and how that impacts us, because we need to listen to what people are telling us, but we also need to, if we're saying, hey, we want to enact some policies, that with respect to regulating data centers, we could use some suggestions on what that looks like. At least I could. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Paul. Councilmember Fetto.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, last week, Chelsea came presented to my Rotary Club, and I believe we were the first to hear the message after the announcement, although we knew. So if you want more information, she will also be talking tomorrow at the West Richland Chamber Luncheon to a group of excited Chamber Luncheon attendees about the upcoming museum, as well as Kevin Lewis of Visit Tri-Cities. Ironman is September 20th. 18, 19, 20, they'll be in town. So if you live anywhere near Bombing Range Paradise, be prepared to have a little traffic delay on Sunday, but please be respectful of the riders. This is a huge economic boom for the Tri-City region as a whole. Last year was $7.5 million of estimated spending brought to the region. But that again is going to be September 18th, 19th, but the actual race is on the 20th, but we'll see riders on the road. So just be careful. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. All right.
Okay.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Which? Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate that. Just parrot the same thanks, Chelsea, for bringing the Mid-Columbia Children's Museum here. That's totally awesome, and I was thrilled since the first time it was presented to us as an option, so that's great. I also want to thanks Josh for sticking around because I want to thank you for the tour yesterday of the new Benton REA dig down the road here. That's a very impressive building, and just really appreciate the investment in our community, and I think it's going to serve us all well. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. But just to say that West Richland is a great place to live. I mean, I've been on travel for a couple weeks, different places, and even places that have trees. And I wouldn't trade this for anything. This is a great place. We have well manicured park trees, yes, but other than that, as far as data centers go, I'll just mention, I believe we're being very vigilant, and I do appreciate all of the comments. I encourage specifics. I would like to parrot the thing that I think Mr. Ritchie said and others is that, we are, I personally am very anxious to have a very specific list of questions and concerns. And then if there's data to back up a concern, if there's information or a study or something like this, I heard one just the other day about low frequency vibrations. And it's like, okay, I haven't heard of that one before. Where's the information about that? That's what I want to see I want to see the detailed information so that we can, if a proposal comes to bear, we can challenge the proposer on those specific issues. So I'm all about keeping West Richland a great place to live, and hopefully if any project like that or any other large project comes to bear, that it would be an enhancement to our community and not a detriment for sure. So that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bloom.
Well, I'll start off with the news I shared with you and Mr. Smart. The Department of Energy has basically decided to blow up the Hanford Advisory Board. And as such, I don't know if I will be on the board or Mr. Smart will be on the board. If we are on the board, we will no longer be representing West Richland. We would be just citizens commenting on what's going on. I personally do not believe this is beneficial to the Department of Energy, but that's just what they're doing. Not necessarily the Hanford Advisory Board was that beneficial, but it had a function. In addition to that, as far as data center goes, my son is living the dream because he's dealing with 10 data center proposals in Cheyenne. It has 10 active data centers. So he shares with me the nightmares and the some of the insights. So from that standpoint, I do not see, other than the one comment I recently received and shared with Mr. Mendenhall relative to groundwater impacts out on the ranch. I really don't see, and from what he's telling me, there's some economic quirks that I might talk a little bit with Benton REA and the mayor relative to electrical issues, on-site, off-site, that type of stuff. But there's not that much of an impact. It's a big freaking building. That's about it. So if the water issue gets, groundwater discharge, if that's coming up, should be, groundwater withdrawal would be the bigger issue for any data center that would go out there. So that's about it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bloom. Just a couple of short things from me. I want to thank once again Josh Lozano for the tour. In addition to Councilmember Smart, Councilmember Ritchie was there. Several staff members were there, but appreciate the time that you, the CEO, and other members of staff put in. It was very informative. Of course, the Children's Museum, not enough has been said about that yet. I'm so proud to know that West Richland beat out several other jurisdictions, and I appreciate the board's wise decision in choosing our site. But I also appreciate council's support on this endeavor, the chamber's support on this endeavor. It truly was a team effort, and I know our city's committed to making this work and work for generations. So thank you very much. We have open house, or what we're calling grounds for conversation, with myself, with Director Slade, and with Councilmember Smart at Yokes on Saturday, September 12th. All three of us will be there in the morning from 9:30 to about 11. It's just an open conversation. Any citizens that want to come by and talk with us, you're welcome to do so. And I invite you all to come out there. We'll be in the cafeteria dining area of Yokes, which is to the right as you enter the Yokes on Bombing Range Road. Not the Yokes in Richland, the Yokes here in West Richland. And lastly, I will just remind council, we have a special meeting planned for next Tuesday at 5:30. So please be sure to attend. It is important. It will be primarily an executive session. So that is all I have. I appreciate everyone spending time with us this evening. It is 7:38, and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.